beef house. Ho, 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 ho. You have had a blast today because you have graphed your first parabola. Wow. Just like driving the car. I read through your forms every morning. There's a few of you that have driven for the first time. Graphing the parabola is just like driving a car. Oh, 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 oh. Gives you more power. Oh, so on this star review, from now on this star reviews, instead of graphing lines, be graphing parabolas so you can get used to this. Okay, now then, what you did on the first part was to find the vertex, right? So remember, we went through all the problems and did negative b over 2a. So on this problem right here, the a is negative 1, which means my parabola will open down. The b is negative 2, and the c is 3. Okay, now then my vertex will be negative b over 2a, so my b, I have the negative fraction bar. Okay, so let me make that a negative sign. So negative 2 will go on the top, and then my a is negative 1, right? Notice I see 3 negatives, don't I? 3 negatives makes a negative, and 2 divided by 2 is 1, so my vertex is going to be negative 1. And I need to turn on my calculator. Darn it, I forgot to do that earlier. Waiting for the calculator to beam up. Go, 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 go. While that's working, let's go back to this. Okay, now then I'm going to go through and get the vertex manually because I got more power. On the calculator, you would graph it and hit Control T. The negative 1, though, is going to go right here in it. Now then, let's get this manually. So I'm going to do negative while I'm waiting for the calculator. This is how I had to do it. I didn't have a calculator. So we had to put our x into the equation and do the math. So negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1 times a negative. This will be a negative 1. This will be a plus 2. This will be a plus 3. That's going to equal to 4. So this point right here is 4. Now then remember, I taught you to put 2 points above and 2 points below. So we're going to put a negative 2, negative 3, and a 0, 1. As we go down, the numbers get bigger. You can do it either way you want. You're going to have 2 numbers above, 2 numbers below. I know my 0 is going to equal to the c, right? So my 0 will be 3. And remember, you haven't figured this out yet, the table will be symmetric, right? The top 2 numbers are going to be the same as the bottom 2. Now then, if I were to put 1 in here, this is how I'd had to do it by hand. I would get negative 1 minus 2 plus 3. That's going to be a 0, right? So the top and bottom numbers would be 0. If we were to graph this and hit Control T, we would get the same numbers. Let me see if my calculator is ready. And it is. So we're going to go to Graphs 2. And I need to graph this parabola. And the parabola is, let me get to the parabola, it's negative x squared minus 2x plus 3. So negative x squared, and then is it minus 2x? Minus 2x plus 3. Minus 2x plus 3. Hit enter. Notice the parabola opens down because we have a negative x squared. A negative x squared flips the parabola, and then it goes through the x-axis at the 1 and the negative 3, doesn't it? And it goes to the y-axis also at 3. Those are like really important points that you have to know. Now then, what we're going to do though is hit Control T, and we need these numbers right here. We need the negative 3. That's the table, and that's what I just found by hand, right? 0, 3, 4, 3, 0, right? So you're going to locate that parabola. Now then, also remember that you could graph trace. So I'm going to get rid of this, Control T. And remember how to graph trace. You hit menu, and then you're going to hit graph or trace, which is 5. And then graph trace 1. Important, when you're in this, do not use the up and down button. Use the left and right button. To find the vertex, you go to the top, and right where it says maximum, that's your vertex, which is at negative 1, 4, okay? So the parabola, when you graph it, it's going to trace to that max or min, okay? Since this is the top, this is the biggest y gets. Now then, let's go back to the problem, okay? I'm going to go down to here. What are the root? Now then, let's graph this. I'm sorry about this. So we're going to graph, 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 and the graph will do something like this. Okay, these are the zeros. This is the vertex, And on this problem, the vertex is a max because it's at the top. And this right here would be the y-intercept, right? Those are the points you need to know from this. And lastly, this line going right through the middle right here would be the axis of symmetry. Okay, so let's go through this and get the answers. The roots of the parabola are here and here, aren't they? These are the roots, so it's -3 and 1. The y-intercept of the parabola is right here, 0, 3. The max or min of the parabola, it's going to be a max, and then the min goes here, which is 4, or that's the maximum value. Notice 4 is the biggest value of y in the table. That's why it's called the max. The range of the parabola, this is important. The range is from here down in it. So the range is your y, and it's all of my y's that it goes down less than or equal to the 4, the max. So the range is going to be y less than or equal to 4. From the 4 going down, that's your range. The axis of symmetry is this number right here, and it's x equal -1. So at x equal -1, the graph would fold over and match up. That's what the axis of symmetry is called. There's 4 graphs. The next test is going to be a vocab test. You could use the calculator to get the graph, but you have to know all of that vocab, okay? And this -b/2a right here is really important. That helps you get the vertex, which is the middle number in the table, okay? Now then, let's go to the last page. Okay, we're going to do the very bottom. We haven't done a lot of this yet. This is what you will do in the next unit. You factor to find the zeros. The zeros are the x-intercepts, right? The easiest way to do this, if you didn't have a calculator, is to factor. So let's factor this. I'm going to draw my parentheses. I'm going to put x and x. Now then, I need the factors of 6 that add up to 3. That's going to be 2 and 3 in it. And they'll both be negative. If I want, I can put the x's on the bottom, right? So I'm going to have x minus 3, x minus 2. Now then, this is how you get your zeros. Set each of the factors equal to 0. This factor, or this factor will be x equal 3. This factor will be x equal 2. 2 and 3 are the zeros. Okay? So at 2 and 3, you can graph this on the calculator if you want. At 2 and 3, this parabola will cross the x-axis. Let's do the next one. I need the factors of 28 that subtract and give me 12. That's going to be 2 times 14. The 14 will be negative, the 2 will be plus. Nothing in front of the x squared, so put x on the bottom. And then draw your parentheses. My parentheses will be x minus 14 and x plus 2. Now then, set them equal to 0. So x minus 14 equals 0. My root will be 14, or my 0. X plus 2 equals 0. If I move the 2 over, my 0 will be -2 on it. Basically, you flip the signs of your factors, don't they? So the zeros are going to be x equal 14 and -2, right? That's going to be my zeros, right? I'm going to put zeros right here. So at 14 and -2, this parabola will cross the x-axis. And you get that through factoring. That's a big part of calculus, is to get the zeros of a function, okay? The bigger the exponent, the more curves the graph has, the more zeros there are. And you got to factor those equations to get the zeros. That's what you're going to learn. Let's go to the next part, the 2 and the 15. We're going to take the 2 and the 15 and multiply, get 30. Factors of 30 that add up to 11 are 5 and 6. You will get quicker at this as you do them, okay? The more you factor, the quicker you get these two numbers. Now then, we're going to put 2x on the bottom, and I need both of them to be negative because we're going to add and get a -11. This stays -5x over 2. I'm sorry, -5 over 2x, and this will be -3 over x, right? So my parentheses will be 2x minus 5, and it will be x minus 3. Now then, set both of these equal to 0. 2x minus 5 equals 0. I'm going to move the 5 over and divide by 2. This will be a fractional root, won't it? So at 5 over 2, which is 2.5, the parabola will cross the x-axis. So my zeros equal, one of my zeros is 5 over 2. And this 0, the opposite of minus 3 is a 3 in it. I'm just going to write it out. Okay, so at 5 over 2 and at 3 is where that parabola will cross the x-axis. Okay, let's go to the next problem. Okay, write the axis of symmetry. Remember, you get the axis of symmetry by negative b over 2a. It's on your formula chart. Okay, so in this problem here, this is my a, this is my b. We don't need the c. So I'm going to put negative fraction bar, negative 8 over 2 times 4. There's two negatives, so it's going to be positive, and 8 divided by 2 times 4, 8. 8 divided by 8 would be a positive 1. Okay, on the next one, this is my a, this is my b. So I'm going to draw negative fraction bar 2. My negative b, or my b would be a negative 12. My a would be a negative 3, right? So there's 3 negatives in here. 3 negatives makes a negative. 2 times 3 is 6, and 6 goes into 12 2 times. Negative 2. So you get the sign first, then you get the number. On the next one, my a is 1, and my b is 6 in it. So I'm going to draw fraction bar minus. My b is 6, 2 parentheses, my a is 1. There's only one negative, so it's negative. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 goes into 6 3 times. That's the line that cuts the parabola in half. That's what the axis of symmetry is. A lot of vocab on this. You just heard of these words today. Important that you're doing all the work I'm giving you so these words sink in. You've got to know the words to be successful. If you don't know the words, the next test is going to be tough. This will be easy if you get the words down. And lastly, let's go over here. On the worksheet you just did, you made them into vertex. Now we're going to go from vertex back to standard. And remember, standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay, so we're going to go back to standard. So we're going to write down f of x equals, and I'm going to put the x minus 4 down twice. Okay, now then, we could do the full. I'm going to do this in my brain though. F of x, and I need 2 more rows here. So I'm just going to put equals. X times x is x squared. Negative 4 times negative 4 is plus 16. And if I did my arches, I would be negative 4x minus 4x, whatnot, which is going to be a negative 8x. You may have to do that on this side. And then I'm going to keep dropping that plus 5. Now then, all I got to do is add up to 16 and 5. Very important that you can multiply that. The other way to do it, this is a perfect square. X times x is x squared. Negative 4 times negative 4 is plus 16. Then remember, you're going to multiply and double. Negative 4x, double it, you get the negative 8x. That's the quick way of doing it. Now then, this will turn into x squared minus 8x plus 21. Ho, 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 ho. Let's go to the next one. On the next one, and I need my f of x here. Let me change colors. Do red. Okay. On the next one, we're going to do x plus 3 squared. Now then, y'all got to get this down because you got to do it quick. If you do all this by hand, it's not going to work. Draw your 3 blanks. X times x is x squared. 3 times 3 is plus 9. If you multiply these, you get 3x and double it because your arches will be the same. If I put x plus 3 and x plus 3, my arches would both be 3x, wouldn't they? So you multiply these and double it. That's the shortcut, okay? So you've got to get that down. So write down 2 parentheses. X times x is x squared. Skip a spot. 3 times 3 is 9. Now then multiply this. I get 3x and double it. I get plus 6x. And then my minus 2. It's a lot of steps here. The next step is to distribute the 2. So I'm going to get 2x squared plus 12x plus 21 minus 2. And then I'm going to combine my c. So f of x equals 2x squared plus 12x plus 19. The key on these problems is getting this and this. Y'all got to get quick at it. If you don't get quick at it, you will not finish the test. You've got to be able to do that perfect square. And we'll continue to work on these, okay? Remember, this is the first day that you have seen any of this, okay? Make sure you're doing the problems. Make sure you get the vocab down. It's a lot of information that you've got to learn on these parabolas, okay? Remember, you are amazing. You are created to do wonderful things, and you are awesome.